The blood eclipse had bled across the midnight canvas of the heavens, a screaming, visceral vermilion, when Elara brought forth her child into the desolate embrace of the high desert. She was utterly alone, the vast, indifferent sky her only witness, the cold, unyielding stones of a forgotten arroyo her birthing bed. No gentle hands aided her, no soothing voice calmed her cries, only the ragged, desperate rhythm of her own breath echoed in the sudden, sharp silence that followed the baby's first, surprisingly weak wail. The moon, engorged and terrible like a celestial wound, seemed to weep crimson tears that stained the parched earth, and in that unholy, spectral light, her daughter was born. A silence, profound and chilling, descended then, broken only by Elara's own shuddering gasp as she saw it, the mark. Not a mere blemish, not a simple birth stain common to newborns, but a perfect, obsidian crescent etched upon the baby's tender brow, stark and undeniable, as if the very shadow of the dying moon itself had reached down and branded her child. Her village, nestled in the shallow curve of a valley miles from this forsaken spot, had always been a place of hushed whispers and ancient, deeply rooted fears. The elders spoke constantly of portents, of dire signs in the sky and curses carried on the biting wind. When word, carried by a frantic shepherd boy who'd stumbled upon her hidden birthing place, reached the anxious settlement, word of a child born under the terrifying gaze of the blood moon, bearing its dark sigil, the whispers became a unified, condemnatory roar. They had named the child Luna, even before Elara, dazed and bleeding, had whispered a name of hope. And that name, Luna, became a condemnation, spat from fearful lips. Cursed! Witch child! Harbinger of famine. The words were stones, hurled with the collective force of generations of superstition. Her own kin, faces tight with a piety that masked their terror, had cast her out. Her father, a man whose hands had once held hers, pointed a trembling finger towards the desolate wastes. Go, he had choked. And do not return. The mark, it taints us all, her mother wept, a silent, helpless grief, but offered no solace. The baby, Luna, rarely cried. Her eyes, dark pools of ancient knowing, observed the world with an unnerving calm. This, too, frightened them. A child that did not wail its innocence was a child that knew too much. So Elara walked. Her milk was scant, her body ached. But she walked. Luna, swaddled in the last threadbare shawl Elara possessed, was a feather-light burden, yet her marked existence weighed more than all the indifferent mountains. The sun beat down, a merciless eye, and the dust rose to choke her. She had no destination, only a desperate, primal urge to put distance between her child and the hatred. The entire West, the elders prophesied, would know of this child, this omen. The fear was a contagion. Every distant plume of smoke, every lone rider, became a threat. She was a pariah, her daughter a symbol of their deepest dreads. She did not cry. Tears were a luxury. Her strength was a fragile flame, husbanded for the next step. The mark on Luna's brow sometimes seemed to throb with a faint, inner light, a secret detail Elara guarded, a terrifying and beautiful mystery. Was it truly a curse, or something else entirely? She didn't know. She only knew she had to protect this small, marked life. The wind whispered through the sagebrush, a mournful song of abandonment. Yet, with each step, a tiny ember of defiance glowed within her. They had cast her out, but they had not broken her. Not yet. She would find a way. Days bled into a fevered dream of sun and dust. Elara's feet were cracked and bleeding, her lips parched. Luna, nestled against her, remained unnervingly quiet, her small face smudged with grime, the obsidian crescent on her brow stark. Hope had withered. Elara stumbled, her vision blurring, and fell to her knees at the edge of a sparse, unwelcoming pine forest, the tree skeletal and grasping. A storm was brewing in the bruised western sky, the air thick with an oppressive stillness. It was here, at the precipice of her endurance, that Silas found her. He was a man carved from the wilderness, tall and broad-shouldered, his face weathered by sun and solitude, etched with lines of hardship and quiet strength. He moved with the silence of a hunter, emerging from the deepening shadows of the pines like a spirit of the woods. His eyes, the color of a winter sky, took in her ravaged state, the tiny, still bundle in her arms, and lingered for a moment on the mark upon Luna's brow. Elara flinched, expecting revulsion, condemnation. She clutched Luna tighter. But Silas said nothing. No gasp, no muttered prayer. His expression remained unreadable, a stony mask, yet there was no malice. He merely observed, a long, considering look. He was leading a mule laden with traps and a freshly killed deer. A trapper, then, or a homesteader used to solitude. He looked like a man who had forgotten how to speak, or perhaps never saw the need for many words. The wind picked up, whipping Elara's tangled hair across her face, carrying the first icy drops of rain. Luna stirred, a small whimper escaping her lips. Silas's gaze softened, just for an instant, a flicker of something unidentifiable. He grunted, a sound low in his chest. Then, with a slow, deliberate movement, he unstrapped a heavy oilskin cloak from his mule's pack. He held it out to her. Elara stared, uncomprehending. Kindness was a foreign language. He made an impatient gesture, a slight nod. Hesitantly, her hands trembling, she reached for it. The fabric was coarse, smelling of pine needles, wood smoke, and the man himself. It was shelter. He turned, not waiting for thanks, and gestured again, deeper into the woods. Cabin, he said, his voice raspy from disuse, the single word a promise, or a statement of fact. There was no warmth in his tone, no overt pity, but neither was there judgment. It was the detached offer of a man who understood survival. For Elara, who had known only cruelty, this gruff offering was more than she could have hoped. She had no strength left to refuse. With Luna clutched beneath the heavy cloak, shielded from the driving rain, Elara stumbled after the silent man, into the growing darkness of the forest and an unknown future. He didn't look back. He simply walked, slowing his pace, just enough. The cabin was small, rough-hewn, nestled deep within the pines, a secret kept by the trees. Smoke curled from its stone chimney, a thin grey ribbon against the bruised storm clouds. Inside, a fire crackled in a stone hearth, casting dancing shadows on the timber walls. It was a Spartan place, clearly the abode of a man long accustomed to solitude. A single cot, a rough table, 2 chairs. Yet, it was warm, it was dry, and for Elara, it was sanctuary. Silas gestured towards the cot, then moved to the fire, adding another log without a word. He did not ask her name, nor offer his. He did not ask about the baby, or the mark that lay exposed as Elara carefully unwrapped Luna from her damp bindings. He simply moved about the small space, his presence a solid, unobtrusive weight. Elara, exhausted, sank onto the cot. Luna, miraculously, was dry, her dark eyes open and surveying the new surroundings with that unnerving, quiet wisdom. The obsidian crescent on her brow seemed to glow faintly in the firelight. Elara expected Silas to recoil, but he only glanced at it, then away, his attention returning to the stew he was stirring. Day settled into a rhythm of shared silence. Elara, regaining strength, began to contribute. She tidied the cabin, mended Silas's torn buckskins with neat stitches. She washed their clothes in the icy stream, her hands turning blue, but she did not falter. She learned to cook with the meager provisions he brought, tough rabbit, stringy squirrel, but under her careful hand, the meals became palatable. She would hum softly to Luna, ancient lullabies from a life that felt a world away. The sound, tentative at first, then gaining a quiet confidence, filled the cabin's silence. Silas would watch her sometimes, when he thought she wasn't looking. His gaze was unreadable, but it lacked fear or disgust. He saw her competence, her quiet resilience, the fierce love she poured into the child society had branded a monster. He saw Luna thrive under her care, the baby's pale cheeks gaining a healthy bloom. He never spoke of the mark. He never spoke of her past. His acts of service were his only words. He left chopped firewood by the door each morning. He fashioned a small, smooth wooden rattle for Luna, leaving it on the cot without comment. Elara found it, her heart clenching. She saw him once, gently stroking the mule's nose, his rough hand surprisingly tender. It was a glimpse beneath the gruff exterior. Trust was not spoken, it was woven, thread by silent thread, in their quiet cohabitation. The land around them was harsh, but beautiful in its starkness. Elara began to see it not as exile, but as a shield. The towering pines, the jagged peaks, kept the cruel world at bay. Luna, too, seemed to draw strength from this wild place. She rarely cried, her gaze often fixed on the play of light through the leaves. The obsidian crescent remained, a stark, beautiful mystery. Elara would trace it gently, no longer with fear, but with wonder. Perhaps it was not a curse, but a sigil of a different kind. Silas said nothing, but he watched, and Elara knew, with a certainty that settled deep in her soul, that in his silence, there was acceptance, a protection she had never known. The fragile peace of their isolated world was bound to be shattered. Like a distant rumble of thunder growing closer, the past found its way. Autumn had painted the aspens in strokes of gold and red, a deceptive beauty masking the approaching chill. Elara had grown accustomed to the rhythm of Silas's departures and returns. Luna, now several months old, was cooing, the obsidian crescent on her brow a familiar, almost beloved, part of her. One crisp morning, as Silas was out checking traps, Elara heard it, horses, too many, and men's voices, harsh and unfamiliar, cutting through the forest stillness. Her blood ran cold. She snatched Luna, her heart hammering. Peeking through a crack in the wall, she saw them, a grim-faced posse of 5 men, led by Jedediah Thorne, an elder from her village, his face a mask of righteous fury. Beside him rode her brother, Thomas, his expression a mix of fear and shame. They had come for Luna. She knew it. The curse mark, that blood moon child, their fear had festered, grown, and driven them here. She's here. Thorne's voice boomed. The witch and her marked spawn. The trapper took her in. Defiled this land. Elara shrank back, pressing Luna close. The baby, sensing her terror, remained still. Panic clawed at Elara's throat. Silas was gone. She was alone. The men dismounted, spurs jingling. Thorne, holding a thick, leather-bound book, strode towards the door. Woman. Elara. Come out. Face judgment. His voice was laced with chilling certainty. Thomas hesitated, his gaze darting nervously. Elara knew there would be no mercy from Thorne. The cabin door would not hold them long. She looked around desperately. No escape. The window too small. Her mind raced. She would not let them take Luna. The fear transmuted into a fierce, protective rage. She backed away, clutching Luna, her eyes scanning for any weapon. Only the fireplace poker, cold and inadequate. The first heavy thud on the door. Open this door, woman. Thorne roared. Another thud, splintering wood. Elara squeezed her eyes shut, a silent prayer for her child, and for Silas's return. The forest, once sanctuary, now felt like a trap. Luna made a soft gurgle, patted Elara's cheek. In that moment, looking into her daughter's calm eyes, Elara found new strength. She would not cower. The door shuddered under a coordinated blow, wood groaning, hinges straining. Elara stood her ground, Luna held tight, her back straight, chin lifted. Just as the door was about to give way, a shadow fell across the threshold. A low growl, more animal than human, preceded Silas's sudden appearance. He moved with a speed and ferocity that startled, appearing as if from the earth itself. In one hand, his heavy hunting rifle, in the other, a woodsman's axe, its blade glinting. His face was a thundercloud, eyes chips of ice. Jedediah Thorne and his men stumbled back, surprised and apprehensive. Thorne puffed himself up. Silas! You harbor the witch. Step aside. This is righteous work. Silas didn't flinch. He stepped forward, placing himself between the intruders and the cabin. His voice was low, dangerous. This is my home for words. A declaration. Thorne sneered. Your home? Tainted. That child bears Satan's mark. She will bring ruin. He held up his book. Scriptures demand it. Silas's gaze flickered to Elara, a quick, reassuring glance. Then back to Thorn. Scriptures? He uttered the word as if foreign. I read the scripture of seasons. Of wind and snow. Of a mother's love. He took another step. The men behind Thorn shifted. That mark, Silas continued, his voice resonating, you call it a curse. I've seen it. It's a mark of the moon. The same moon that guides me. The same moon that watches over the innocent. He paused. This woman, he gestured towards Elara, came to me with nothing. She has harmed no one. She has worked, cared, shown more grace and strength than any of you cowards hunting a mother and child. His eyes fixed on Thorn. You speak of curses. The only curse I see is the fear in your hearts. The ignorance that blinds you. He addressed them all. This child, Luna, is under my protection. Elara is under my protection. They are family. The word, spoken with quiet conviction, hung in the air. Leave now. And do not return. If you threaten them again, you will answer to me. And the mountains will not hear your prayers. Then no bluster, just cold promise. Thorn opened his mouth, but words died. He saw unwavering resolve, the axe held ready. He saw a man defending all he held dear. One by one, the men backed away, bravado deflating. Thomas, after an anguished look at Elara, retreated. Thorn, sputtering, found himself alone. With a final venomous glare, he too mounted and fled. Silas watched them go. Then, tension seeped from him. He lowered his weapons. He turned to Elara. She was crying, silent tears of relief, gratitude. Luna reached out, her fingers brushing Silas's rough cheek. He didn't pull away. A small smile touched his lips. That day, something shifted. The unspoken bond solidified. The silence that followed was filled with understanding, with love. Years passed. The cabin grew, as their family did. Elara and Silas were wed by the murmur of the stream. Luna grew into a spirited, intelligent girl, the obsidian crescent on her brow no longer a mark of fear, but a symbol of her unique beauty. Some said she had a gift for healing, that wild animals trusted her. The curse had been a blessing, leading them to this life, this love. They had 2 more children, a boy with Silas's quiet strength, a girl with Elara's gentle spirit. The fear from the village never reached them again. Their haven remained untouched, a testament to courage and acceptance. Silas never became a man of many words, but his actions spoke of a deep, abiding love. Elara's quiet competence blossomed into joyful matriarchy, her laughter echoing through the pines. They built a legacy not of fear, but of love, resilience, and the quiet dignity of a family forged in adversity. Their lives were a testament that what society casts out, true hearts can reclaim. And so, you see, the marks others place upon us, the fears they project, do not define our worth. It is in the quiet courage of a protector, the resilient love of a mother, and the innocent heart of a child that true value is found. Sometimes, the greatest blessings come disguised, born under a blood moon, perhaps, waiting for eyes willing to see past the shadows. If their story has touched your heart, if you believe in the power of love to overcome fear, then join our community. Subscribe, and let us continue to share tales that remind us of the strength and beauty of the human spirit. For in every outcast, there is potential for resilience, and in every protector, a heart waiting to be awakened. Their story is one of many, but its truth is universal. Love is the only true sanctuary.